Hello, I hope you're well. It's been a while since my last lockdown series video, and with summer officially coming to an end and autumn beginning, I thought it would be a good time to share some ideas and inspiration for the autumn months ahead of us. So, one of the things with autumn is we often think of it as this instantaneous, dramatic change in the landscape and the scenery, but as you can see, we've still got a lot of greenery behind us, and uh, autumn is actually a much more progressive, gradual change than that kind of dramatic, instantaneous wash of colour that we often associate with autumn. And what I want to do is give you some tips and ideas and inspiration for the weeks and months ahead as that change happens, rather than going out in one weekend and having a weekend wonder where you capture all of autumnness and the gloriousness of the autumn colours. The first thing that happens in the early months of autumn is that we get these warm days and these cold nights, which can produce lots of different weather effects. So mist and fog, the more obvious. And if you've got a valley like this, if you live near a valley where you can get up to higher ground, it can be great for capturing things like cloud inversions and fogs and low cloud, and that can be a really great autumnal scene to try and photograph, especially if you can get those sort of autumnal trees poking out through the clouds as well. That can look really quite effective. But you don't need to live in a valley. If you live near any water, most of us live near some water of some sort, they can be really productive for fog and mist as well. So whether it's a local pond or a river or reservoir, search out those places, especially on calmer days where there's low wind. And like I say, the cold nights and warm days can be getting up early. The good news is you don't even have to get up as early anymore because the sun's coming up later. But they can be really productive for atmospheric autumnal pictures. Also, you get dew and things like that, so details on plants and grasses. Dragonflies and butterflies are still around at this time as well, so it's worth hunting out those, especially when we get this dew and condensation. If you want to stay indoors, the condensation on windows and roof windows can be quite dramatic, or even on car windows and mirrors and things like that. That's worth looking at as well. So the condensation and the dew that appears as the same result of the cold nights and the warm days. If you're desperate to capture colour those changes aren't quite happening yet, one of the things you can do is look for individual leaves and look for the details. And I get quite caught up in looking at leaves that are half green and half brown and yellow, and that can be quite interesting as well, and therapeutic as well, looking for details, conkers, seed pods that are falling as well in these early weeks of autumn can be a great source of inspiration. As autumn progresses, it's a great time to watch birds and wildlife, because wildlife is changing. Lots of wildlife is preparing to hibernate, so they're more active, trying to get food stores up, trying to build up weight. So it's a great time for watching nature and wildlife, and it's a great time for migrating birds as well. I often keep an eye on local social media groups to see what local exciting wildlife has come across, so I encourage anyone interested in that to do the same. But it's not just about the rare and exciting species. The species that we're familiar with are changing their behaviour as well. Starlings, which are sadly declining, but they still offer great watching for anyone who likes to observe starlings. I watch them every day. We can see starlings from our house, and in these weeks they tend to group together. They flock together, anywhere between 20 and 100 birds, and they tend to raid the local berry bushes around us, and I thoroughly enjoy watching them and watching all these birds storm down on a tree, raid it for its treasure, and then storm off into the sky. It can be a really dramatic and inspiring thing to watch and photograph. So I encourage anyone to keep an eye out for those. The starlings, whether you're in the city or in the countryside, there is really quite a great spectacle. And as those colours change throughout autumn, it's worth thinking about how you photograph them, whether you can photograph them from a different angle. On windy days, I love to try and photograph the leaves flying off the trees, and there's some pheasants kicking off over there. That's great. And it's great to capture these leaves flying over the sky on the windy days, which we will get windy days. So think about things like, how do I capture wind? That's a inspiring and a creative challenge in itself. How do I capture this really strong windy day? Look for reflections. I also like watching leaves floating on streams and brooks and rivers and things like that, and water on lakes. That could be a really great, inspiring opportunity to photograph as well. I got a bit distracted by the pheasants there, so I'm just trying to catch up in my head what I was going to say. But I think, the autumn is very much associated with colour, and one of the things I wanted to do was throw you guys a curveball and come in with a left field idea, because we're always such a strong association with colour with autumn. I wanted to challenge you and challenge myself as well to think about autumn in black and white and monochrome, because it's a good challenge. It's something different. It's not something that you often see. So think about, as you go through these autumn weeks, think about how can you capture the essence of autumn but without using colour. And I think is a really nice and exciting challenge to take forward in the weeks and months ahead. So I hope that's given you some ideas and inspiration anyway. Sorry I got a bit distracted throughout that, but I hope it's enjoyable for you guys to watch, and it's given you some ideas. And I'd love to see your photos, so you can share them on social media or email them to me if you're feeling a bit shy about putting them on social media. I'd love to see them. I hope you enjoyed it, and it's good to see you and do another video. And I'll do another one with the winter months approaching.